Coming to you virtually live from the Beer to Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room on Washington Street in magnificent downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and this is my good buddy, Big John Richard. Richard, what? Boy, I did that last time. Why didn't you correct me?
Because we were in the middle of something. Carry on.
No. See, this is how long it's been since I've seen you. Jeez, oh Pete. My God, man. Coming to you nearly live from the Beer to Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room on Washington Street in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John in 5. And that's where I get my good buddy here, Big John Richards.
Some consternation about that a second ago.
to pick a beer from one of Barley's 72 or so taps, or one of a can and bottle from one of their 50 or so cans and bottles, and we sniff it and we sip it and we get bits about it, and John tells us a little bit of background on the brewery, and sometimes we'll get a little brewing history. And after that bigger than life introduction, John, what did you pick for us?
Right, so a beer I'm awfully excited about. This would land on many of my top 10 beer lists.
Do you have more than one?
I've had to do several.
Okay, all right.
Just depends on how I feel on a different day. It might be a different set of beers.
I get it.
Or somebody might say, I want the best, pale ales. And then, of course, this would be on there. So this is Maine Brewing Company. The beer's called A Tiny Beautiful Something, which I just love the name of to begin with.
It's a little poetic for me. It's a little poetic for a beer, in my opinion.
Beer is poetry.
I like something like Inglorious Bastard, or those are the kind of beer names that.
Well, you'll probably also hate that these guys give back to the environment.
Continue.
So, this is a single hop pale ale that they do to showcase El Dorado hops in particular. It's one of the reasons I know that I like El Dorado hops, because of how much I like this beer. This beer, you'll see Russ was just doing the little finger trick, is a filtered beer, but is still a little bit hazy.
It's fairly hazy.
And it's got this would clear up if it sat here and warmed up a little too, because I think this is a little bit of chill haze. Because I know this is not a hazy beer in the sense of a juicy IPA or any of those kind of.
Is chill haze a thing?
That's very much a thing.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
See, you learned it here. Right here. You learned it here.
Right.
Who knew?
Yeah. A lot of beers will clarify as they warm up 5 or 10 degrees from being close to freezing, because most of the time you pop them out and they're 30. I mean, if you're drinking an American beer, you want it to be like 28 when it lands in front of you, but most craft beer, 36, 38 degrees, and then by the time it hits the glass and hits your table, it's 38 or 40 degrees, and that usually knocks most of the chill haze away. But if it's really cold, there'll be a little chill haze in there. All of that to say, what this really is just a showcase for El Dorado hops. It's 5.5%. It's a pale ale recipe. As you can see, it's a really light color, so they have used any real caramel malts in there, much of anything to add color to it. So you're not going to get those big caramelly toffee flavors. You're going to get that white bread, that like saltines cracker, sort of lighter end, a little bit into the bready stuff, more of a hearty bread. But it's you're not going to get those big caramel flavors that you would get out of some American pale ales. This is really definitely built to be a showcase for El Dorado. So it's a little bit tropical, stone fruit. You get a little citrus in the background and some really nice floral notes going on too. And it's really fresh, really clean, just bright and refreshing. and it's just one of the most and delicate, one of the most beautifully delicate beers I've ever tasted.
Well, we've done some Maine beers before, and
I tend to rave about them.
yes, well, and for good reason. I've never had this one, so I'm looking forward, despite the kind of, you know,
Frou-frou?
frou-frou name. Jeez, oh Pete.
Yeah.
You know, I like, what do they have? Lunch bucket?
Lunch.
Lunch,
Lunch.
and, yeah.
Dinner.
Dinner, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
But let's
Have a sip.
let's get into this a little
Yeah.
bit. Text Miss Lily.
I smell that white peach. Maybe a little pear thing going on.
Is
there.
that what is white peach really?
White peach. Yeah.
It is. I get a light fruit thing. I couldn't identify what it was.
It's weird. Once I learned to identify that white peach thing, how unique that aroma really is. And it takes some time, man. You really have to take time to stop and smell the roses, as it were, and really stop and think about what you're smelling if you really want to try and develop that, because these things are subtle, even in beer. And when you get into, you know, talk of these delicate flavors in wine and in spirits and stuff, which are in spirits, you really have to dig for some of those flavors to get past the more aggressive ones. You really, really have to stop and concentrate on what you're doing. And that doesn't belong in a bar. It belongs at a tasting table or at a panel, or if you're with your friends and you're specifically talking flavors, and that's what you want to get into that day. But if you're sitting down and drinking a beer because you want a beer, you're just gonna, you and everybody else around you are gonna be bored by you talking about, do you smell the white peach in this today? Oh my goodness. It's absurd. Sit down and drink a beer and enjoy your life. Doing this can very easily suck the joy out of drinking, because you spend so much time digging in your brain for what you want to happen, or training your palate, that you lose the joy of just sitting down and having a beer. Don't do that. I spend a lot of my time teaching classes telling people this belongs in class and it belongs at study time. When you're drinking at the bar, shut it off. All right, back to drinking, because I haven't had a sip yet. Russ was just looking down. Like he'll be done soon.
It is you're right, it's a nice, light, delicate
Yeah.
kind of thing going on there.
Yep. It's just so easy. There's still a bite in the back. You know, the balance is really good. It's light and delicate and sweet up front. And then this is where, it's a little more pithy on the back. Like we were talking rindy on a different episode you'll have to watch a different day.
Yes. But it finishes kind of dry.
Yeah.
But you're right, it is pithy.
Yeah. It's become one of my favorite beers. And every time I have it, I wish I would think of it more often. And I would think of it more often, but we can't get it down here very often. So we get what we're thankful every day for whatever Maine makes it down this way.
Well, I know in the ones that we've had prior to this that I really liked them.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. They just don't do anything wrong. They're one of those breweries that won't put out bad beer, that concentrates on their recipes to make sure that they are consistent with all the other beers that they do, that the quality is top notch, and they just won't put out anything mediocre.
Where are they?
Portland, except they opened their facility 2013 in Freeport, Maine. So there's a big production facility in Freeport, but I think they still have a tasting room in Portland. And we just effectively say that they're from Portland, but I think that they list Freeport on their bottles now.
Well, this is nice. This was a good call, John.
Thanks.
I don't agree
Glad for
with it.
that.
I don't agree with every pick you make. I don't make a big deal out of it usually, but sometimes in my head I'm going,
Yeah.
you could have done better. This is good.
Good. I'm glad for it.
So with that,
Let's let these people go. I've done enough damage for today.
so damn lucky. See you next time.